Welcome to another episode of the Sidecar Spin. Today I will be speaking with Lara Wedge. Lara is a sidecar rider from South Australia. She races with her husband Brian Anthony on the side. Today we'll be talking about racing with her husband, racing as a junior, winning the Australian title last year, being a mum and balancing mum life and racing, some of her racing tactics, challenges, and supporting Brian while he was racing overseas. Can't wait to chat to Lara, so hope you enjoy. So today I welcome Lara Wedge to the Sidecar Spin. Thanks for jumping on. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into sidecars?
A bit about myself. I'm a mum of three. Married, I don't know, not much else to say really. I was when I was a junior, I think maybe 2007, 2008 or something. I go on a junior sidecar of Scotty Waite's, I don't know, a few years prior or something, and I went up to Morgan to watch, I think it was the Australian titles one weekend. My brother was racing and I was basically sitting in the grandstand at Morgan, and I said to Dad, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I really want to have a go at this. And I think within a week or two, he found a sidecar to buy, and he'd gone out and bought us a sidecar to have a go on. And so, yeah, it all started as a junior.
Yep. Did you race solos before that?
I'd started racing solos, like I'd grown up riding bikes as kids or whatever. But then I think it was around that 2007-ish, I started racing. I did enduros on the solo. We joined the Caton Motorcycle Club and did a few club days and that sort of stuff. I then also did some like solo motocross stuff for a couple of years at the same time as starting on the junior sidecar.
Yeah, how old would you have been when you started the sidecar?
Maybe 12 or 13, I think.
Yeah. And were you riding straight away, or did you do both, or?
I basically rode straight away. When we first brought the sidecar home, my sister Eliza, she got on the side, and we did a few laps just around home, and I spat her out the front of the sidecar, and so that didn't last too long. So then I teamed up with Tequila Morris, and we did a couple of seasons together. But I started riding, and I've ridden most of the time since.
Yeah, and then you went on to the senior sidecars, and was Eliza on with you then?
No, so I had Tequila on for a couple of years, then Tegan Hartwig jumped on with me, because there's 4 years difference between Eliza and I, so she wasn't overly interested in riding. But yeah, then I moved up into seniors in 2011 or whatever, and then so obviously she was still junior, so I had to try and find a passenger.
Yep.
Up in seniors or whatever, so yeah.
And then what? You guys did the Australian titles, you and Eliza, when you were quite young, didn't you? A few years back. Because I'm pretty sure I've seen a video on YouTube, I reckon, and I reckon you were on the old KX.
Yeah, we Eliza and I teamed up for a bit. So when I went to seniors, Brian jumped on, sort of pretty much straight away. He was still racing with his uncle in, say, like A grade or whatever, and then Brian and I would ride together in the B grade or pre-90 or bits and pieces. But I rode, with him for a couple of years, my brother Dane, and a few odd passengers here and there. And then I think it wasn't until after I'd had Tanner and came back, so that would have been 2014, I think, was when Eliza and I first sort of teamed up as a senior team together. And we rode the Australian Nationals at Horsham that year together.
Were you guys sort of one of the only girl teams?
There was a couple here and there. Well, when I first started racing juniors, I think the first 1 or 2 seasons we had 3 all-girl junior teams. So we had our own class within the juniors, racing as the girls, which was pretty awesome. And I think at that time there was a few senior all-girl teams, the likes of Chrissy and Nicole, Linda, and a few of those or whatever.
Yeah. So,
but then, that sort of all petered out a bit. There wasn't too many.
Yeah. Do you
for a while there.
find it? Do you find it like a challenge being a female in a male-dominated sport?
Yes and no. I think you definitely get that doubt. You know, people say to you, you race bikes, and they brush it off a bit. They sort of don't realise, that we're pretty capable.
Yeah.
Too. I haven't had too much, negativity or anything, but I think they get a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, because they think it's sort of a bit of a gimmick, and then when they actually see you ride, they're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Because I even noticed that when you guys did the Australian titles at Perry last year, there was an old fella from Queensland, and he was telling, like that's husband and wife team. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, the wife swings. I was like, no, she's the rider. And he's like, nah. And I was like, yeah, she's the rider. Yeah. And he was like, oh, really? And he was just blown away. He couldn't believe that you were the one that was actually riding, because he just automatically thought that you were just like, you were the passenger and it was the husband riding.
Yeah, and we get that so often. They say, so you hang off the side. No, I'm riding.
Yeah.
And Brian's a silly one on the side.
Yeah, people get a bit of a shock when they know that, the wife's the one riding. She's in control, well, mostly.
Yeah.
Would you ever swap around with him? Have you ever swapped?
Not really with Brian. I'll say if we go practicing, I'll get on for a lap or something like that.
Yeah.
When Eliza and I used to ride together, she basically told me that, I was a bit crazy and I needed to, pull my head in a bit. So our deal was that I would ride one class, she would passenger, and then in a different class we would swap. So I think we did that for, I don't know, a season or something. But then she obviously got a lot more confident and, has turned into a brilliant passenger. So, it was probably safest for us both, if I was riding and she was on the side. But, I've jumped on the side a few times. I passengered for Dad on the classic sidecar once up at Crystal Brook. That was a bit of fun. I've jumped on a few times, but I'm definitely not a good passenger. I like to be in control.
So what's it like riding with your husband?
Well,
do you guys switch off and go into team mode, or is it something that causes a bit of friction if one person doesn't do the right thing and then you're having a domestic at home?
Oh, we can generally leave it on the track, but there's definitely been times, when we first started riding together and, he'd be hanging off the side, pointing and yelling and screaming at me, and I don't know, I think that helped a lot with my riding and things like that. Then when we sort of really started racing together, just in A grade, and that he gives a lot of good feedback and sort of work together pretty well. But only last year at the Aussie titles, it was coming down to the last race, and he was yelling at me halfway through the race, like, come on, go, go, go. And I had to turn around and I yelled and screamed at him, just, you need to shut your mouth. just let me ride. And he swiftly did that. But I don't think we've never had any real arguments or anything. It's, we might get off the bike and be a bit grr at each other, but 5 minutes later we're fine.
Yeah.
But it's a good, it's awesome riding together because you're driving home from the race meets and big debrief, about the race that we had. And
yeah, well, you get to share all those moments together, don't you? It's something that you're the only two on the bike, and no one else in the world knows what you guys are experiencing at that time and that moment, and then you get to sort of chat about it and share that moment together.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, the highs and the lows.
Yeah, absolutely.
So communication is a massive part of sidecars. Can you sort of describe the communication between you guys? Like, what examples of it sort of going right and going wrong?
I guess, anyone that knows Brian knows he's a good talker, and he's very good at explaining things, breaking things down, building confidence the whole way around the track. We've had some real tough races, or, we're doing really well. He's in my ear the whole time, just, you've got this, you can do it. Like, so it's, awesome pump up for that. We've had a few little miscommunications, I guess. Murray Williams Cup. I don't remember last.
Was that 2022 when you guys went up the side of that, jump thing?
Yeah, the jump where it was.
Yeah, and you got catapulted off.
Yeah, there's the jump on the inside of the corner, and it was a bit of. We thought we were going right. We changed our mind left, changed our mind right, and it didn't go quite so well. But ended up on a heads. But that's racing. Get back up, keep going.
Yep. Yeah. I remember that. You were bloody pretty busted up from that one.
Yeah, that one hurt a bit, but probably hurt my ego more than.
Yeah, because you guys were in the lead too, weren't you? I think
No, not in that one. We'd got a bad start, and I was pushing through, and probably, got a bit. The race face got put on a bit too much, and wasn't thinking as well as I probably should have, but that's okay.
Yeah. So, how do you prepare physically and mentally for racing?
Well, I play hockey during winter. I've been a bit slack, training-wise, that sort of thing. 2021, just after I'd had Hendrix, I went to the gym. I think it was like 12 weeks after I'd had Hendrix, and I was flat out in the gym, doing boxing classes and bits and pieces, stuff like that. So I put in a lot of effort that year, training and whatnot. But I wouldn't say I do a huge amount. It's more just getting bike time. I feel like for me that works. This season I've started hockey again and started trying to do a bit of training, bit of running, bit of whatever, just getting moving. But it's a bit of a juggle with 3 kids trying to manage sport and all the things, but that's all right.
Yeah, that was my next question. How do you balance that?
I don't know. You just do it.
Yeah.
Just don't think about it. The calendar just keeps filling up, and we just, I don't know. You just get on with it. Just keep doing it.
And so, how did your racing change once you had kids? Did it change a lot, the way that you sort of approached it, and do you get more anxious now? And
yeah, I definitely think there's a bit more. I probably think about it a bit more, a bit of somebody's going to get up to the kids tomorrow morning kind of thing. It's in the back of your mind, but I think as soon as that helmet goes on, you're just in your zone
Yeah.
or whatever. I think when I had all three kids, I had like that season off that I had them, and then it was straight back into it the following season. I did struggle a little bit coming back from the second time, just not feeling, quite up to it, thinking, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
Putting myself at risk and all that sort of stuff. But
you get that mum guilt.
Oh, absolutely. It's a tricky thing. Sort of think, when we come home from the races, you get home late, everyone's like trash.
Yeah.
But we've still got to, go, shower the kids, feed the kids.
Yep, get them to bed, clean everything up.
Do all of that stuff and then still get up in the morning and,
Yep.
when they're all up at, silly o'clock in the morning, and
yeah,
it's crazy. Mum and Dad have had the kids now and then after a race meet, and we come home and just sit, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, how good's this?
Yeah. And speaking of your mum and dad, they've been a real big support system.
Oh, absolutely. Mum and Dad have been there from day one. Just even as a junior, I was a teenager being a teenager, and didn't matter, I probably didn't deserve to go racing, but Dad, he'd have the little bikes done, Mum would be there. Mum and Dad have always been involved in all the committees and stuff. Mum's done, so much stuff. Dad's always done the bikes for me. I've barely had to do much stuff for the bikes. Bit of a princess, really. I just rock up and ride.
Diva.
Oh, absolutely. And as a junior, come home from school and Dad's already, washed the bikes and done this and done that. And so I've always been, super lucky. Even now as an adult with kids, they're there every single race. Dad's still supplying us bikes and all that sort of stuff. And,
it's awesome.
It's
I
awesome.
always see them running around everywhere, and your mum's always running around. She's either got the kids with her, or she's taking pictures or lap scoring or doing something, and your dad's always helping out with the bikes and running around and doing stuff.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good to see.
And that's the thing, like with Brian and I racing on the same bike, having three kids, someone's got to sort of look after them. They're only just getting to the age now where they could
fend for themselves a bit more.
Fend for themselves, but Mum's still there looking after them. So.
Yeah. And now your kids are doing it as well.
Yeah, we've got the little Fiat sidecar, and Dad's still got our junior sidecar from when we raced as kids or whatever, so the kids have had a go on that a few times, so they're not overly they're not overly into it just yet, but don't want to push the point just yet.
Yeah, you push them into it and then they don't want to do it.
Don't want to do it,
just let them sort of choose when they want to have a go.
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you give to other mums that want to do it or get involved and, have their kids and worry about that sort of stuff?
Oh, I say just give it a go, but I know, that's always a bit harder than just giving it a go when you've got all those responsibilities and stuff. But, there's so many people willing to help. They help look after kids, or, I think it's just nice to see mums doing stuff for themselves.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of it comes down to husbands, partners, dads, whatever. We need their support so that we can keep doing it, because I wouldn't be able to do it without Brian's support and Dad and whatever.
100%. That's like me as well. Like, if my husband wasn't supportive, I'd be buggered. And even at Perry on the weekend, I was racing solo and sidecar, and my kids adopted the family next to us.
Yeah.
They were like,
Yeah.
my youngest one's like, oh, Mum, I needed to go to the toilet. And I was like, oh, no, did you wee on the ground? She goes, no, that mum over there took me to the toilet. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then
Yeah.
they're sitting there with the other family. I'm like, where are my kids? Oh, just over there with their adopted family.
Yeah. And I think people need to remember that the kids, we always have this, I guess, guilt of, oh, but we're not doing it for our kids, or our kids, our kids are missing out. It's like they love it. They absolutely froth when they go to school and go, oh yeah, this is my mum doing this sick jump, and like,
for sure.
they love that kind of stuff. And just taking the kids to the bike track, they're happy playing in the dirt and the dust. They'll remember that far more than half the other stuff that
sure.
You think you're doing good things for them, but they don't care.
Yeah, my kids had a ball just playing in the dirt at Perry. Like, they were like, Mum, that was the coolest Easter ever. And they absolutely love it.
It's awesome.
Making memories, and
absolutely.
They just learn, they get resilient, and meet random people and chat to them, and meet little friends at the track, and it's cool. And they watch their mum do hard stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they know that, you're not just a mum. You can go out there and kick ass, and you're not just at home doing the dishes and folding the washing and doing all that mum stuff. And I think the kids watching you do that, they go, wow, my mum can do that, so can I.
Yeah.
And
breaking all the stereotypes in this house, I tell you.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of badass bloody mums, you won a Aussie title last year was it pre-85?
We won the pre-90.
Pre-90, yep.
One, and then we rode the pre-85 as well.
Yeah.
I think we ended up fourth.
Yeah.
In that one, but it was pretty good.
So you're the first SA woman to ever win it, and I think you're the second woman ever to win a Aussie title on Sidecar. So how does that feel? That's pretty cool.
Oh, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I think it's just nice to, I don't know, that race weekend probably wasn't my best riding. We hadn't done much bike time and all that sort of stuff, but it just sort of cemented all the hard work we'd put in, for the however many years previous. Like, I think we worked out this will be coming up my 19th year racing sidecars or something.
Oh, wow.
So it was sort of nice to actually, it means nothing really in the big scheme of things, but to have, an MA medallion #1, like, it's pretty cool to have something after all these years.
It's definitely not nothing, that's for sure. You're too humble.
It's totally.
So would you say that would be one of your biggest achievements?
I think probably the Murray Williams Cup that Brian and I won in 2021. I think that was a pretty big achievement. More so for the fact that I'd had Hendrix 12 months before. I'd worked my ass off at the gym. I'd trained all year. I'd raced all the solo state titles. I knocked myself out that year and damaged my shoulder and stuff. So I came back from that as well during that season. And we just trained pretty hard or whatever, and then to win that against John and my brother or whatever in that was pretty awesome. And we beat John in one of the 15-minute A grade races, which was that was probably my biggest achievement, just that beating him in that 15-minute race.
Yeah.
Because that was, John's a pretty amazing rider, and to be able to, I've travelled around, I've watched John and Brian when they were racing together train and, work their absolute butts off, and then to, be able to beat him in that race was
that would have been
pretty awesome.
That would have been cool. So would you say that would be one of your most memorable moments?
Yeah, that was pretty good. I think back 2012, it would have been when would it have been? I don't know, 2012-ish. I was racing with Brian and racing against Dad. Dad was racing in the B grade against us. And we had some wicked battles, like me against Dad, numerous times throughout the season and stuff. It got to the point where we were placing bets on who was winning. So when I was still living at home, Dad would leave out, a pile of coins, like, here's your $5 winnings, money getting bet on each races. And, yeah, it was just awesome. And
would have made for some good family dinner banter.
Oh, yeah. There was lots of banter, and I think a lot of people in the pits and watching the race sort of knew about the banter, so there was lots of yelling and screaming from the sidelines and that kind of thing. So that was pretty awesome.
Has your dad raced the whole time, or he only started when you girls started?
So Dad raced mini bike sidecars as a kid.
Yeah.
So he did that. I'm not sure for how long, but I've seen videos of him racing those and that. But it wasn't until, he had I think it was a TT 600 sidecar or something, and he rode that in a couple of the road trials, or the 24 or something. Like, I reckon that would have been 2000-ish. And then it wasn't until he bought us the junior sidecar, then he went and bought a classic around the same sort of time. So then he started racing the classics. It became a massive job for Dad because he was prepping, my bikes, his bikes. We'd go up to Morgan every round and he'd be prepping. I'd be racing an 85, a 250. He'd be riding a solo. Like, it was pretty manic. Oh, absolutely. We had this massive car trailer, and it would just be, full of bikes every round of Morgan, and yeah, it was a lot of prep, a lot of washing, a lot of cleaning, a lot of maintenance.
Yeah,
I'd hate to think how much money Mum and Dad have pumped into racing for us.
Yeah, wow. So over all the years, who has been your biggest influence?
I think, obviously, spending so much time with John and Brian, just everything that they did, and I guess that was probably a pretty big influence. I've watched a lot of the guys overseas, and the first year we went overseas, there was a chick rider, Sabrina Van Kals, I can't pronounce the name. And she was the first woman to score Grand Prix points at one of the GPs that we were at. So it was pretty, inspiring. And, I don't know, sort of just, I think, John probably.
Yeah.
A pretty big inspiration.
Yeah. Wildest moments. Have you had any real wild near misses or holy cow sort of moments?
Oh, yeah, there's been a few. We only brought this up the other day. Brian and I were first racing. We're at Akusa Park, on the bottom track, and they used to have a really long straight with a few sort of drop offs, and then it was a left-hander with big tractor tires on the outside of the corner. And I can't remember. I think it might have been Hutchie's, the Hutchie boys. They were on the inside of the corner, and Brian and I just went full send trying to go around the outside, and I clipped the tractor tires, and the tractor tires, they're all painted white. So then, we came in after the race, and there's just white paint all up the side of the bike where I'm just in these tyres. Yeah. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I sort of look back now and I go, probably wasn't the, brightest thing to do, but
could have been bad.
We lived to tell another tale. But
yeah. So speaking of those type of accidents, what's the worst accident you've had?
The sidecar hasn't been too bad. I ended up in an ambulance after where at Morgan, when it used to be one big long straight, had a, end for end at the end of into the first corner. Weren't too damaged. It's had a few ups and downs, but yeah.
Nothing too serious?
Nothing too serious. Probably done more damage on the solo.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So what track would be the most challenging track that you've ever done?
Challenging? I don't know.
Even conditions sort of thing, like have you raced in like full mudders or anything like that?
Yeah, so I reckon it was our first race on the junior sidecar. We were at Narracourt and it just rained and rained and rained and we were just bogged absolutely everywhere. Trying to, had to be dragging bikes out of mud and that kind of thing. That was pretty hard, but I guess that was, more or less one of my first races on a sidecar.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been to Narracourt a few times and it's just an absolute quagmire. It's, sticky mud.
What sort of conditions are your favourite to race in? Like, do you like hard pack or like really prepped tracks or muddy, sandy?
I like hard pack.
Yeah.
Bit skatey, bit hard pack, that kind of thing. I'm not too fussy, but I'm a bit of a fair weather rider, to be honest.
Yeah. Not a fan of the bog holes.
Oh, no, not really. I'm a bit of a pansy, really.
Talking of different tracks now, reliability trials, you've had a go at those?
Yeah, so I only got my road bike license a couple of years ago, whatever. So, Eliza and I teamed up and we did the Gawler and the Caton road trial last year.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the riding of it as such, but it just didn't quite do it for me. I like someone to race. If I'm racing the clock, I'm bored. I forget that I'm supposed to be racing and just start plodding along and doing that sort of stuff. But also, I don't like not knowing what's around the next corner.
Yeah.
I guess that's a bit of the control freak in me. I'm happy to go flat out on a motocross track because you've got a pretty good idea what's around the next corner, and
it's more predictable because you've seen it all. It's all prepped, and you've sort of been around, so you sort of know what's there.
Yeah, and I guess I like that repetitiveness that you can keep going around and around until you get something perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas I found in the road trial, you're like, oh, that was a fun section. I would like to go and do that again, and I want to get that really good. But I'm not willing to go out there flat out, potentially, crash and hurt myself because I feel like it's not worth the risk. But we did the first one, and it was all right. And then the second, the Caton one, I really didn't enjoy. We got through the first lap, and we had a couple of issues, but nothing major. And I think Eliza and I are sort of looking at each other, going, "Oh, do you want to keep going?" She's sort of like, "Oh, no, not really." I was like, "Oh, no, me either." And then it was, I think it was like 30 seconds before our minute to, leave for the second lap. And I was like, oh, stuff it. We've paid the money. Come on, let's go for a ride. But, so yeah, it was all right, but yeah, I much prefer that racing.
Yeah, and like you were saying before, on the motocross track, you can go around and you can try one line and then you come back around, you can try another line. And sort of mix it up a bit, whereas on the road trials you sort of only get that one or two tries to get around. So if you muck something up, you're like, oh, well, it's done now, I can't even fix it.
Yeah, and I forgot the whole first lap after we went around for the second lap. I didn't know where I was. Get lost in a round room.
Yeah, did you find that doing that type of terrain riding was just heaps different?
Uh, not not really. I mean, we're lucky enough we've got a track to ride out at Mum and Dad's, and it's a bit more. I mean, we say it's a motocross track, but there's not really jumps. It's a bit more of, I guess, enduro terrain.
Yeah.
And we've been lucky to grow up riding all that sort of stuff, forever. So I didn't find it, crazy, different, but...
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm about to ride my first one and I'm like, oh, I've only ridden like 3 races on motocross. I wonder how much different it's going to be actually having to navigate over like the weird cambers of the track and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, you'll be right. Just send it.
That's what I keep saying. I'll be right.
No, you'll work it out. You've got it. You've done it on the solo. You'll be sweet.
And well, I've done it as a passenger, but yeah. I just think, oh well, the only way you're going to know is by trying.
Yeah, that's it. Half the time you get to that sort of stuff and you just do it. It just comes sort of naturally.
Yeah. And then you get to the end and you think, holy crap, did I just do that?
Yeah.
How did we do that?
Yep.
So racing overseas, you haven't raced overseas, but you've been over there with Brian.
Yeah, so I've been over there nearly every time he's been. When Team Australia did the Nations in 2015, I took my gear and I had all start commissions and stuff ready as a backup, just in case anyone got hurt or anything.
Yeah.
I jumped on. We were at Yinnen one day, and I jumped on the side with Greg Anthony. He didn't have his passenger wasn't there at the time, so I jumped on with him. I mean, we putted around. I felt sorry for him, to be honest. But even just doing a couple of laps around Yinnen, there's this massive, steep downhill, and I absolutely packed my dacks. I was terrified. I think I shut my eyes the whole way down.
Wow.
It was scary, but yeah. And then I also, after one of the races I think that must have been in Czech as well, we were all just mucking about, and Brian's having to go on a right-hander and stuff, and so I just rode John and Brian's bike and we did a lap or 2 of the track. But, yeah, nothing.
Would you ever consider actually, racing over there?
The level, the GPs and that's just next level.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. I don't think I couldn't do it, but I wouldn't. Any of the national championships, I think would be awesome to race and that, but I haven't got the drive or the go or the real want to do that. The amount of time, money, effort, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be a lot to organise, especially with the kids and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And if we were going to that much effort to get over there, I'd be pushing for Brian to race GPs again, because that's just, I love seeing him do that and being there.
Yeah.
Being a part of that as well, so.
Yeah, and how, what's that like, being, his support person over there?
Oh, unreal. I could give up racing and just go and be his, support person, whatever. I absolutely loved it. Being, when there was a few teams over there, I was in the, I don't know what you, May bit and I'd say that is, I don't know what it's called, where they do all the pit boarding and the mechanics area and stuff.
Okay.
And racing. And, doing all the lap times and, doing the pit boards for the boys and all that sort of stuff. That was awesome. Just, there's a whole nother world over there, and the atmosphere is just incredible. So yeah, I would happily give up racing to just be there and part of it. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing it from somebody who's sort of in it but not actually racing in it, because you hear like, you know, when I spoke to Brian, he's explaining everything as an actual rider, but I hadn't spoken to someone who was just there like amongst it but not actually riding.
Yeah, and I guess it's such a full-on thing when they're racing, and that you know, even, you know, feeding them, getting them drinks, cleaning their goggles, doing, like, there's so much to be done because it's, you know, a massive task in, you know, what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, it's kind of scary to watch, you know, my husband or whatever do that kind of thing and absolutely smash himself to pieces, and, you know, have to be there and be his rock when he gets off the bike, and he, you know, he can't talk to me because he's that dehydrated and exhausted, and it was pretty wild, but
it
amazing.
Would be scary, but at the same time, you'd be like super pumped and super proud of him, but but crapping yourself at the same time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like the adrenaline of just being there and being around it and watching that would be so awesome, and you'd be feeding off of his energy, you know, watching him follow his dreams.
Yeah, definitely.
It would have been hard, like, how'd you deal with, like, having the kids and living out of the van and stuff?
Oh, I look back now and go, oh, it was all right, but at the time I hated it. It was horrible, like, especially when we were there, like in 2019 when we were there for quite a long time, trying to have two kids in a tiny little motorhome that they were just, it was hard. It was a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got to keep them entertained as well. Like, it's not like they could just run around everywhere or go outside and play on the swings or the trampoline or, you know.
Yeah, and half the time we just, you know, we were rocking up in, you know, truck stops and stuff like that. So you literally could not let them run around, or we stay in caravan parks, you know, maybe once a week, or the money, we were living pretty tight. So, you know, we couldn't go and do heaps of fun things for the kids or whatever. But
even just having all the washing and all the crap that kids bloody you need for kids, like that would be hectic.
Yeah, definitely. And food and trying to feed them and
everything full of dust all the time because you're constantly at motorbike tracks and just be hectic. Hats off to you guys for that. And that's just an extra stress as well on top of everything, racing at that elite level.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, language barriers, not knowing where you're going, not knowing if you're going to have enough money, you know, all those sorts of things. It was a massive thing to do. So. Oh,
well, you can look back now and think, oh my God, I can't believe we actually did that. But at least you'll have lots of stories to tell, and the kids will be able to tell stories when they're older that they travelled around and done all those cool things with their parents.
Yeah, I do not regret that whatsoever. And if I often catch myself thinking, oh, I wonder what we could do. Could we sell this? Could we, you know, how could we fund another trip?
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Time goes so quick, and you only get that, you know, that short window to be able to race at that sort of level. So you just got to do what you got to do, because, you know, in 50 years' time, you'll look back and then you can say, well, we gave it a good go.
Yeah.
And speaking of those stories, have you got any, like, funny moments? Something, like, funny that's happened, like, on the bike or,
don't know about real funny. I mean, there's been we're on the start line of at Crystal Brook, and we're all, you know, on our bikes, and all of a sudden someone yells out "snake," and a snake slithered, it went underneath all the bikes, and everyone's just like launched out the way and jumping out the way, and
that would have been hilarious.
it was that was pretty good. But you'd think that the snake would have gone away from the, you know, the vibrations of the bikes all revving and whatever, but no, it went straight under all the bikes.
Probably didn't know what was going on. God, I reckon I would have crapped my pants if that happened to me.
I think Brian was, you know, running in the opposite direction. But.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Not so sure about funny. I guess it's just, lots of random moments, and
Yeah.
most of the time I rode the KX 500, and I've never been able to start the bike.
Yeah.
So we'd be mid race. Say Eliza and I were riding mid-race, or suddenly we've crashed or stalled or something. We would literally stand there in the middle of the track, just like waiting for someone to come and help, like, help please. And often there'd be Dad, he'd be like running across the infield trying to come and start the bike. And
I'm pretty sure that happened to me and Eliza when I went on with Eliza. We stalled it on the first corner, and Norm had to come out and start it for us.
yeah, well,
Like,
there's been times where I don't know who is either Brian or Norm or someone. They've stopped mid their race to come and quickly start our bike and then get up and get going again. And it's just, bit of a damsel in distress moment,
Yeah. Well, they're not easy to start.
No, I've tried and I've tried. I just cannot seem to get the knack of it. And everyone goes, "Oh, you just gotta, kick it. Come on, just do it." But anyway.
And when you're bloody puffed out because you've been racing around too, you probably got not as much energy to be jumping on the bloody 500 Kickstarter.
Yeah, but we've moved on to smarter and better things now, and that button, I really do appreciate that button.
So what's been your favourite thing about racing sidecars?
I think it's just being able to, share that with somebody else, that you've got someone on there that you can make it as fun or as serious as you want, but you've always got someone to share that with. I think sidecars have just got a great community about them.
Yeah.
It's, everyone so often, at the end of the races, everyone stops, shakes hands. It's a big family. Everyone's willing to, help each other out. And
yeah, for sure. I've definitely noticed that. I think it's different. Like, I don't know, like solos I think can be a bit cliquey, but I feel like sidecars, well, to me, it doesn't really seem like that. I think everyone sort of helps each other and will, come over and, oh, how you going? And, if you've got a problem, someone will come over and help you. And, yeah, everyone.
I guess it's a small sport, and we're just so keen to, share it with everyone because it's so awesome. I feel like we've got this awesome little treasure that just want to share it with everyone and keep people interested and keen. And
And how much do you think, in the time that you've been racing, how much do you think the sport's changed? Do you think it's changed at all?
Yeah, it's got. I've seen the sport go from having heaps of classics to not many moderns, and then lots of juniors to next to no juniors. It's it's gone up and down just in competitors. From like a club point of view, it's gotten harder and harder for, we're not allowed to practice, solos and sidecars can't practice together anymore.
Yeah.
So we've really been pushed out of, mainstream clubs and stuff like that. The sheer cost to hire tracks to get racing and stuff. So, yeah, it's all just gotten a bit out of hand from a club's perspective. So it's made it so difficult to run, decent events.
Yeah. And like you said, being pushed out of the mainstream motocross events, I reckon that's a big part of why we don't get as much interest from new people as well.
No, because you haven't got the exposure.
Because even at Port Perry the other day, like there was a lot of people there, and people were coming past and looking at like my sidecar park there, and were saying, "Whoa, what the hell is that? Oh, I've never seen them before." And like these are motocross people, and I'm thinking, how could you not know, what a sidecar? And I'm thinking because they never bloody see them. Like unless they come to one of our events or they go to Morgan, like there's nowhere for them to sort of see them. And that not having those other people that are already involved going, oh, let's give that a go, it makes it a lot hard to get people involved.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's where, like, say with the reliability trials, because they're still run side by side with all the solos, you do get those solo guys crossing into the sidecars a bit. But
yeah,
I think there was quite a few years ago, would have been 2012, we did a demo at the MX Nationals at Murray Bridge. There was a bunch of us that went out and did, I don't know, display ride kind of thing.
Yeah.
The MX Nationals, which was really good, but it's hard to get into these little places to get that sort of exposure. And say with, state titles, there's so many different classes,
Yeah.
and, their days are jam-packed full as it is.
Yeah.
So to try and get back into those would be,
I
pretty
just
hard
think,
task.
well, Morgan manages to fit us in, and they do juniors and seniors. So,
Yeah.
if they really maybe wanted to, they might be able to. But then the thing is you've got to get the people to actually rock up, because they give them a chance, and then people don't rock up, and then they go, oh, I'll stuff you.
Yeah, exactly right.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I think, it's a cycle as well. If you got people not rocking up, then they don't want to do it. But you've got to be consistent for people to rock up too. Like, you've got to have that consistent, yep, we're going to have them here, and just no matter what. And then, after a couple goes, people go, oh yeah, let's go there.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I was speaking to someone on the weekend at Perry, and they were saying that they reckon that the road trial sidecars has sort of peaked now, and with the cost of living and stuff like that, that we might get a bunch come back over to motocross. So fingers crossed for that.
We can only hope. It would be nice to see the motocross up on the rise again. But
yeah. And Rocky said that. He said it goes in waves. He goes, it'll be peaked for road trials, and that'll slow down, and it'll peak back up to motocross.
Yeah,
so, hopefully.
Hopefully, we just need a few more, bit more interest and a bit more, a few more helpers in the club, and try and push for a few more events and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So, what do people say when you tell them that you race sidecar?
I think, you tell them, you show them a picture and they go, oh, well, you're crazy. But I don't think they don't understand. Unless they've seen it in person, they don't understand. They don't get it. Yeah, you get that, she's a girl. Oh, she must just, plod along at the back, go for a trail ride kind of a thing. But yeah, you get a few that are pretty, they go, oh wow, that's awesome, I think when you start talking a bit more, especially to the blokes that sort of know about bikes, and you start talking, and then they sort of start to realise, oh, hang on a minute, she kind of, she knows what she's talking about a bit here about bikes. She's not, she's not just making it up.
Yeah. Do you get any, negative sort of stuff?
Oh, not to my face.
No.
I think there's probably a few people that think, grow up, your mum, you've got responsibilities,
screw them.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'm too busy having too much fun.
Yeah. So over the years, who do you think you would have had your best battles with?
I don't know that there's been really anyone in particular. The last few years has probably been Norm, and that's been pretty fun. Especially when Eliza's on the side and we're battling with Norm.
Yeah, you guys had a good battle at Morgan the other week. I reckon I got a video of you both just getting over the start line together. I couldn't even see who actually got through first.
Yeah, I think he might have picked us.
Yeah.
But there's a few times like that. Yeah, back in the day with racing against Dad, that was awesome. I think there's been, little battles throughout, for a season here, a season there, different people.
Yeah.
But it's,
I
guess there hasn't been a huge amount of people that have stayed
Yeah, changes.
Yeah, like all the juniors that I've raced with, there's barely any that still ride. And yeah, then throughout the years, they come and they go, and
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys, one of the most memorable sort of ones that I watched you guys, I reckon it was at the Murray Williams Cup, maybe. I reckon you were battling with Sean and Adrian.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I remember watching him and going, oh, wow, that is so cool. It was like really intense and really cool to sort of watch you guys all battle it out.
I think that was 2022. We came second to Sean and Adrian, and yeah, that came down to that last race,
Yeah.
And that was pretty hard fought, but
yeah, that was cool. And like those type of races, like, I don't know, for some reason, they just something about them that just stand out.
Well, yeah, I think, the best races are the ones where you're working for it. Yeah. I remember the first A grade race I rode with Brian. We were in the KX and I stalled it, or I don't know if we stuffed up the gate or something happened, and I had to get off so he could start it, and got back on him. Then we chased the field. This is up at Renmark, and we pushed through the whole field, and that was unreal.
Yeah,
it's probably one of the better races I've ridden, but it was it was really hard fought.
Yeah. Do you find like overtaking on a sidecar? Like, how do you pick like where to go, and like how do you know like when it's going to be a sort of safe time to go around someone?
I think it just comes with time.
Yeah.
Watching what blinds they're taking. It obviously, a more experienced rider, either they'll be more predictable. They're not going to be as erratic, but they will cover their lines better and stuff. So it will make it harder in a sense, but easier that you're not worried that they're gonna cut across in front of you or anything. But I think it's just
that's what we did to bloody Norm and Eliza on the weekend.
Yeah.
We were like, come around the right-hander, and Naomi, because she was her first time, she's still sitting on the right, and I was trying to pull over more to the left so that they could go around on the inside, and she stayed on the right, and I thought, oh, they're going to go around, and then next minute we just cut straight across to the right side of the track. I was like, oh my God, because I was thinking we just fully cut them off. And then they ended up coming around the left side, and you can see on the video we're on the left side as we're coming up to the hill, and then we disappear. But then when we come over the hill, we're on the right side. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we just did that. We were fully out of control. And I don't know how they managed to just like know that we were going to just drive across the track in front of them. Like, I thought they're going to crash into us. But nah, like Norm picked a wicked line and got straight around us and then crashed us straight after him. I was thinking, how do they do that?
After you've done a lot of racing, you can pick that, and you can pick, you can pick what other people are doing. But I think going overtakes and stuff. It's it's watching. It's sitting on it's sitting right behind them or whatever. But then also trying other moves, like I think poking a front wheel up so they can see and hear you, and suddenly that breaks their concentration, or stuff like that, and you just got to wait to pounce, I guess.
Yeah. And do you
send it.
Have those do you have those sort of race tactics that you sort of use?
Yeah, I guess I do. Probably don't think about it. I think it probably just comes a bit more naturally now. Just I'll keep trying different. Like for all I said, you follow.
Yeah.
But you're trying every corner. You're trying a different line, or because all you need them to do is make one small mistake in their line.
Yeah.
And if you're on the inside or the outside, whatever they're not, you potentially got the run to make that pass if they make that slight mistake, or But if if you're stuck in a rut following them, then
you can't really get around.
You've got nowhere to go. So
and how do you get around? Like, say if someone's just driving in the middle of the track the whole time, can you get around them, or?
Oh, you can, I guess, if you... Depends.
You just got to wait for that opening, I guess.
You got to wait for that opening. You know, come in the corner a bit hot, get on the power real early. I think that's a massive thing. If you can get on the power early, you can beat most people out of corners.
Yeah. And jumping, like you guys do some pretty mad jumps. What goes through your mind when you're coming up to like those big jumps like that?
We'll say that 2021 at Murray Bridge or whatever, when we were clearing those big jumps and that, we had a practice day out there, I don't know, a little bit before, and we spent lap after lap just trying to hit these jumps, and it took me, I think I spent all day just smashing myself on these couple of jumps, and I just could not, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it, yep, and every time I just back out. And then finally it was sort of, you know, end of the day, sort of last session kind of thing, and I was like, no, I've got to do it. And I would literally just, it's almost like I had to switch my brain off and just send it. Brian, he's very good at, you just need to hit it at this, you know, do this, do that. As long as I, you know, listen to what he's saying, he's exactly right.
Yeah.
And, you know, he'll sort of coach me through it. But there was it was like a step down or something in the middle there, and it was massive. And he was just yelling at
that middle jump with the 3 sort of bumps.
Yeah, but it was back then. It was going the other way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he just yelled at me the whole way up the head, and it's kind of embarrassing to say, but I literally shut my eyes when I took off from that jump, and I didn't open them until I hit the ground. Like, and I did the jump, and then after that, I was like, all right, and like I know what I need to do now.
Yeah,
and I could sort of do it, but yeah, there seems to be a lot of things like that. Even at Renmark, we had issues with our bike, so we were riding the KX again, and there was this stupid little step up, and in practice I'd only done a couple of laps of practice and I didn't do this step up, and then come race 1 I got the whole shot, and I'd known that everyone else was doing this step up. It wasn't like it was little, and I thought to myself, oh no, I'm out in front, oh well, I have to hit it because I can't, like if I don't hit it they're all going to, you know, crash into the back of me.
Yeah. So
I was like, righto, and I just like absolutely went full send over it, and just about cleared because the step up went sort of like up to the top of it, and then there's like the actual down ramp for the whole thing. Yeah. And I nearly cleared the whole thing. And
is that the one up the back?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, but the down ramp's really short.
Yeah, and then I was so, like, flustered that I'd, you know, done this something, and oh, my God, and then I sort of had a bit of a brain fade and didn't quite turn enough in that left-hander, and the front dug into the, you know, the soft berm, and we stalled it, but, but we survived.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I often need a bit of, like, oh, well, you've got to do it now, you can't back out to get me to do something like that, so.
Yeah. And hole shots, you're pretty good at getting the hole shot. Is that something that you always try to aim for, or just sort of happens?
I mean, you always try to get a hole shot, but I think it's always something that I've been okay at. And then, I don't know, there was a particular race we were at Murray Bridge, and it was a pretty... like there was quite a lot of bikes in the race, and Brian said to me, he goes, he said something to me like, you know, just hold it flat and I'll do the rest, and like to get to the first corner.
Yeah.
And you know, that's just sort of what we do now. Just hold it flat and just send it.
Yeah. Do you get like nervous when you're all like bar to bar sort of with other bikes, like get crashed into or anything much?
I mean, yeah, you do a little bit, but I think you sort of learn who
to stay away from,
who you need to stay away from, or who, you know, who's going to back it. Like, it's a bit of a mind game.
Yeah.
Like, I know who's going to back out.
Yeah.
And, you know, who's going to hold it on and who's going to back out. So, 90% of the time, I know that most people back out before I will.
Yeah. Now, don't drive anywhere near me.
I'll take a wide berth.
Yeah, I said that to the young guys when they were near us. I was like, just stay away from us. We'll probably drive all over the track. Beep us or something when you want to overtake.
No, that's all right. That's not, you're supposed to be on the track. You're just as entitled as we are to be there.
So do you? I know I've spoken to like a few people that do the reliability trials, and some of them have said that's why they do that, because they do get a bit worried about having so many bikes, racing against other bikes on the track. So that's something that doesn't bother you?
No, I think
you like that better.
I've grown up racing.
Yeah.
I did a lot of solo motocross with, 30 bikes on the gate and bar bashing, but yeah.
Yeah. If you could go back and do something different, what would it be?
I don't know. Probably not be such a naughty teenager and be a bit more appreciative of what mum and dad did for us as kids, with all the racing and all that sort of stuff. Like, I look back now and think it was just unreal what they did for us and what they're still doing for us, really. So
yeah.
I don't really have any regrets or things I'd change. Yeah, just maybe a bit more training, a bit more training and practicing racing. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Do what you can at the time.
Yeah. And future plans. What are you up to? What's your plans for this year or next year or whatever?
Well, we're just waiting for rain so that we can go practicing and stuff. Brian and I are planning on going up to Queensland for the Classic Nationals again, try and defend our pre-90 title.
Yep, that'd be cool.
Give that one a crack. And I don't know, I think we're going to probably just do some Morgan rounds just to get some bike time or whatever. But yeah, we'll just keep riding whatever we can.
Whatever we bloody end up organising for ASA.
Yeah. Well, we were so bummed that there was a sidecar class out at Piri and we missed out. But
yeah, we missed you guys there.
Yeah, but next year.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think everyone had a good time and Piri were pumped that we were there, so hopefully we can get more next year.
Yeah, hopefully now that people have seen it again
and the track,
realise it's a possibility.
The track's pretty good there. I don't know, I thought it was all right. It's pretty busy, but
it's a great track.
Yeah.
If you're being picky, it's a bit narrow, but what tracks aren't these days? So.
You'll be right. You'll just get the whole shot.
That's the plan.
I just drive all over the track. Now, hopefully by then I'll have a bit more control.
No, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So Queensland, you guys are going to head up for the Aussie titles again?
Yeah. Yep.
And will you be on the same?
We'll do the KX in the pre-90 class and then, probably take up Dad's pre-85 just to get another ride in as well.
Yeah.
It's probably
so are you going to stay?
But... Are
you going to stay for both days, both meetings, or are you going to just do that one? Because I think it's split into two.
Split into two. The first one's I don't know if it's the first one or second.
Yeah.
Whichever, but the pre-85 and the pre-90 are both in the same event, so in the same weekend.
Okay, so they're not doing sidecars on the other one?
Well, there should be like pre-75 sidecars in the other one, but we don't have bikes for that class.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, cool.
But no, we'll go up and give that a crack and.
Yeah, because I heard there was talk of them doing a pre-2000.
Yeah, right.
But because I was like, well, I wonder if my sidecar would be okay because I think my frame's 1998. but my
Yeah.
motor is a 2008. But the guy was saying that if they have made whatever the earliest year they've made that motor, if they haven't changed it, you can be classed as that.
Yep.
But I think it was 2004, so that would be 20 years, which would be vintage, but I don't know if they'd let me ride it in the pre-2000. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
they might if they want more bikes. Don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
They said something about having trials bikes in there last time to make up the numbers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That would have been a bit of a bit entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys just got back from Queensland, yeah?
Yeah, we spent a week up there for the Speedway.
Yep.
Speedway Sidecar Aussie titles. So.
Yeah. How did Brian do with that one?
Not too bad. They ended up with a 4th in the final.
Yeah.
It was I don't know. Let's just say I like motocross racing where there's no referee.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever had to go on a Speedway sidecar?
Yeah, so as a junior, I raced the Speedway sidecars with Tegan Hartwig for, I think it was a season and a half or something.
Yeah. Is that something you would do again, or?
Now Brian's jumped on with Justin Playstead, or whatever. I'm hoping to get a bit of see if we can go out for practice or something and get on the senior bike and just have a go.
Yeah.
But it's more just as a have a go. I'm not particularly interested in actually racing it.
Yeah.
But just another discipline to
tick off the box.
Tick off the bucket list.
So what would you say are the key skills to be successful in sidecar racing?
I guess just a bit of persistence, a bit of resilience, just, I guess, not taking it too seriously. Yeah. Well, to begin with anyway, just, yeah, I guess it's a lot of hard work, and especially, you know, say as a passenger or whatever, you know, you've got to put a lot of effort and time into getting fit and strong enough to be able to do it to a half reasonable level. Yeah. Riding's obviously, you know, a bit easier, but you've still got to have, I guess, a different skill set to be able to ride. And yeah,
it really is a different sport. Like, even though you're both on the same bike, it's sort of like you're doing two different sports.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, like things of like your perception of, you know, where your chair wheel is and, you know, where you're placing your bike and things like that. I guess it's a skill in itself. But
yeah, and then that being able to communicate with each other as well and just mash as a team. Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing. Like, you've got your own sort of, your passenger and then your rider doing their separate things, but then you've got your thing as a team as well.
Yeah, and I think, you know, being able to communicate how your bike's, you know, handling and doing bits and pieces and running and whatnot is, you know,
yeah,
I guess that's any motorsport really.
Yeah, and like even on the weekend I had Lacey on with me and we were sort of following these guys around, and I sort of wasn't, like, I didn't want to go too fast, like, because you're thinking, oh, like, I hope they're okay, but then she's going, go for it, and I was like, oh, sick, let's go, and then like started chasing the guys, and she's like, take the inside, and like she was like telling me things to do, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Made it like it made a whole new vibe of it, because you're not just riding thinking, oh shit, like, oh, am I going too fast for him, or am I going too slow for him, or like, are they all right? Like, the whole time I was just thinking, oh, is she all right? You're like, you know, I don't want to do anything crazy, and then she thinks, oh, stuff this, I'm not going to get on with her again. But yeah, then once she sort of let me know that, we're good, let's go, I was like, oh, sick, let's go.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Like, I find that between, say, when Eliza's on the side and when Brian's on the side, you know, I've probably got that little bit of extra care with Eliza, you know, checking that she's still there.
Yeah.
She's an awesome passenger, don't get me wrong, but I guess it's
she's your little sister too.
She's my little sister.
Yeah.
I've got that care for her, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Whereas when Brian's on there, it's like I do not even
You don't have to think.
about it. I don't have to think about him once. I'm
Yeah.
just solely focused on my riding and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That it just makes it easy.
Yeah, yeah. Just fling him around.
Except when he
Don't worry
starts
about him.
yelling at
Just
me.
fling him around. That'll teach you for not doing the dishes.
Yeah. No, he does the dishes. It'll be me not doing the dishes.
All right. Well, what advice would you give to anyone new wanting to have a go?
Yeah, just give it a crack. Come and talk to us. We'll get you on a bike. We'll encourage you. We might seem scary, but we're really not. Promise.
Nah, you guys will. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have ever jumped on, I don't think, because I probably wouldn't have seen anyone or knew anyone that even did it.
Yeah.
Sort of wouldn't have probably. I would have probably thought, oh, I'd love to do that one day, but never actually had the opportunity to have a go.
Yeah, I guess we don't push it on people, but if you come to us and say, oh yeah, we want to do it, like,
Yeah.
we'll do everything we can to get you on there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, like,
But-
I'm thankful for you guys giving me the opportunity to do it, because now I'm bloody obsessed with it.
yeah, well, we're over the moon that you are.
I'm like, sidecar this, sidecar that, sidecar this. Even
Yeah.
my husband yesterday, we were like saying, oh, we're going to do something, and he goes, what are you on about? You won't be doing anything. You'll be doing something to do with bloody motorbikes and sidecars.
Yep.
They're like, no, I'm going to like do this. And then I'm like, oh, hang on, I've got to do a podcast.
Yep, it just takes over your life.
Yeah, and then I've been out there mucking around trying to get my bloody starter to bloody work, because my electric start's not working. So I've been out in the shed the last 3 nights. Like, my kids are probably hungry. I'm like, oh, can you bath them and give them some food? I'm going out to the shed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy, but I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, it's
You can't, I don't know, there's just something about it you can't get from anything else.
no, that's it. I've raced heaps of solo stuff, and I just keep coming back to sidecars because it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an addiction.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And I think just not just the racing, but just the lifestyle and the, you know, the community and everything around it. It just makes it all awesome. And like, you know, you meet heaps of cool people and everyone's just doing the same sort of thing and loving it, and yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Alrighty. Well, what are we going for an hour and 20? So
Have a good chin lag.
yeah. If people don't know, Lara and I are actually on the Australian Sidecarcross committee as well. So we already knew each other before this, and yeah, probably see you. You know, what we got a meeting next week or the week after, I think. So
Something like that.
Yeah. Alrighty, awesome to chat to you, and
Thanks for having me.
sharing your
Enjoyed having a
story.
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm pretty sure people will like to listen to what you've got to say, since you're a big inspiration for a lot of the girls that race as well. Everyone always says they want to be like Lara, so
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Alrighty then.
Right.
Take it easy.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
See ya.
See you, mate.
Thanks for tuning in to another podcast. I hope you enjoyed that chat with Lara Wedge. Lara is an absolute legend and an inspiration in the sport, and it was so cool to be able to have her on and chat with her. And yeah, thanks guys for all the feedback and all the support. It's been awesome. Please share around my page, and yeah, let's get this podcast out there and get more people interested in sidecars. Thanks, legends.